Picture the peak of human evolution, a civilization that spans galaxies, where material scarcity is a relic of the past and our mastery over science is complete. But when we imagine that ultimate triumph of engineering, we rarely picture massive factories or sprawling engines. We usually picture something like this. Notice what is missing from this environment. There are no exhaust vents pumping heat into the atmosphere. You won't find interlocking mechanical gears or sprawling networks of visible circuitry. Instead, we populate our ultimate future with smooth pyramids, weightless floating crystals, and shimmering bridges woven out of light. Curious, it raises a strange question. Why does our concept of the highest possible technological advancement look exactly like our oldest myths of magic? Artists use this aesthetic overlap as a deliberate psychological mechanism. By merging science fiction with fantasy, they show us what a society looks like when it pushes beyond the limits of standard engineering. To communicate that level of mastery, visual storytellers strip away the mess of utilitarian design. Progress requires abandoning moving parts and reducing architecture down to absolute forms. This skyline is defined by towering illuminated pyramids and a central diamond spire, structures that prioritize symbolic geometry over the boxy efficiency of contemporary cities. Throughout human history, these specific mathematical ratios and perfect polyhedrons have been known as sacred geometry, the visual language used by ancient cultures to represent the absolute. Applying these ancient mathematical ratios to a future city suggests a civilization whose technology has moved past mechanical assembly and into the direct manipulation of universal constants. These beings no longer rely on trial-and-error construction or bolted steel. Their architecture is a direct manifestation of physical laws. Then there is the question of how a city like this actually runs. Radiant blue and gold light courses directly through the edges of the structures, traveling up the central spire without a single visible power plant. This illustrates the concept of ambient energy. Supreme technology does not need to push electricity through copper cables. The architecture itself becomes the conduit, drawing power from the surrounding environment. Science fiction writer Arthur C. Clarke stated that any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. Because we cannot see an underlying power grid here, our brains lack the context to process this as engineering. We interpret those glowing architectural lines as enchantments or magical runes. By erasing the heavy infrastructure and leaving only the luminous effects, artists use Clarke's law to pull the viewer into a state of mystical awe. Cyberpunk futurism typically features suffocating pollution and a natural world entirely paved over by concrete. This vision embraces the opposite approach. This metropolis is built into the jagged mountains and cascading waterfalls, refusing to dominate the terrain. That terrestrial harmony extends to the celestial backdrop. A massive spiral galaxy and ringed planets sit peacefully in the sky, framing the city within a quiet cosmic neighborhood. Framing the city within an undisturbed ecosystem and a quiet cosmos implies a total, effortless mastery over the physical world, where the needs of civilization are perfectly aligned with the environment. Sacred geometry, ambient energy, cosmic harmony. When visual storytellers combine these three elements, they are illustrating a specific ideology. This preference for the magical over the mechanical suggests that, as we look forward, we find more comfort in ancient symbols than in the cluttered, hyper-industrialized aesthetics of the present. We do not aspire to surround ourselves with increasingly complex, overwhelming machines. We want to advance our tools so thoroughly that they practically cease to exist to the naked eye. Our dream for the far future is to use our mastery of science to return humanity to a state of profound wonder, pushing technology to its limit so the universe can feel enchanted once again.